Dan. I think while I know specifically in this conversation we've been speaking to your Yes and Conscious Leadership Group and your founders and business owners, but I think that we can equally apply this to our women, our listeners that we're listening to here. It's not something that's just specific to the founders and business owners. And if I could share something that potentially will have some of our listeners resonate with, but from my experience, something I've been noticing in myself lately is there's a sense of safety in movement and in activation. And I wonder for these business owners and founders that you work with, Dan, and then for our highly functioning or capable women who are doing it all or holding it all together, is that relationship with activation and doing something that we could also sort of explore and unpack itself. I know that for myself, if I'm doing something and that can just be organizing or cleaning or creating or working, I feel steady in that. And I'm not necessarily referring to the sense that there is a relaxed intensity there. And look, maybe there is. You might tell me there is, but I think what I'm noticing is when I slow down on the opposite, there's a subtle anxiety under that. So on the other side, there's a discomfort being there. So while it looks like the activating and the constant doing is productive, I'm actually internally, I believe, using it as a bit of a regulation. Like the regulation is coming from keeping myself moving. So I think that it's healthy to ask this. And I think the question to you is, Dan, I'm curious about, is there a benefit in, yeah, just sitting with our relationship to the activating or the doing, or potentially the other side, the slowing down and the safety? In my experience, is it the doing that feels good, for example, or is it just the relief of not having to be in the stillness? Do you know what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I love this, and I love that you're bringing it in. I also we are in the We Are Women podcast, so I do work with women as well. And
Well, I work with you, Dan. I'm bringing
yeah,
things in that I know that I've explored with you.
yeah, and this applies. It's different in the business world. It's different from human to human. We were kind of generically speaking there, but it would still be incredibly necessary to see the difference from human to human, and then go beyond the humans that are business leaders or entrepreneurs. Actually, here's a bridge, right? My belief is that there is an inner leader within every single human. It's just that most
Yeah, I love
humans
that.
don't consider themselves to be a leader. So, uh, as a healthy, functioning human, there is a necessity but also a privilege and a responsibility to be able to meet the medicine of life, to be able to lead ourselves through that. And at some point in time, what might latch onto ourselves is a family, to support a partner, a life partner, and to be supported by a life partner, to support these little humans and have them uh, uh, b- be able to stand on their own 2 feet to be able to fly the nest in a really healthy way, right? Is the overarching responsibility of a parent. And so um, these roles are no less important than, say, running a business or as an entrepreneur, and they are so full of the quality of leading and the act of leading. With leadership's a stagnant word, and so it's really leading is what we're talking about, because it's that in action. And I think there's a few layers to what you were sharing there, Mel, where it's probably not a black and white answer around, um, cool. There's on one level, there's a form of regulation actually that's happening in the system when you're in the doing and actively engaged in the doing. And there's a regulation, and it's really useful. Sitting in stillness and silence is necessary to be able to do that, but isn't always the answer and is insufficient alone. Yeah. It just really feeds the capacity to be able to find relaxation in all of the doing, right? Movement is a way of processing, is a way of regulating the nervous system. And so, on one level, I feel that that might be happening. Yeah. Then, on another level, it probably comes down to one word, and that word is safety and feeling safe. Yeah. Movement versus stillness. It may feel more safe for the system there to be in that movement. Why does it something feel safe? Because it might be familiar and it might be what's known best. And what's known best for the psyche here will feel, it'll be drawn to that and it'll feel more comfortable, even if it's not serving us. Yeah. But some parts of it, nuance is really important. Some parts of it are serving us, but also maybe some parts not. And so how do we find that balance and simply be able to expand beyond that and gently, in good time, start to expand our capacity and to find safety in a little bit of that stillness and a little bit of that, and find ease in a restfulness and in a relaxed state, but we don't have to throw the doing out. Yeah, we don't have to throw the intensity of doing out that feels so good to the system and so familiar and it's so known. We don't have to throw that out. But let's just, whilst this is playing out, let's gently expand this side as well. Yeah, because again, it's no different for, say, a mother. And I'm not going to pretend to know what life is like for a mother. Yeah. But if a mother, very similar to the business owner, starts to consider, if I'm to spend more time in stillness, silence, and slowing down, who the fuck is going to do everything? Who's going to do everything? Tell me that. Is he going to do it? Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Yep.
All right. It's no different to, the business leader and the baby that they've got and like the family that they've got in terms of the employees and so on and so on. And so um, it's gently and bit by bit finding safety in that and allowing the system to start to realize its strength, power, and capacity to be able to engage both relaxation and the activity in life at the same time. And it's not, I say realized rather than um, to acquire or get the capacity to be able to do that, because it's something that's already so deeply inherently alive within the system from when we are born. It's alive within the system to be able to engage in that way. It might need to spend some time in an environment to adapt to it in this way and so on, but it has the capacity to do that, to adapt to the fullest degree, right? And so yeah, it is not something you need to try and reach from out there
Mm.
in here. The system just needs a little bit of support to feel safe enough to allow the process of remembering that capacity and realizing that capacity within itself. And safety is key, which is why,
Yeah.
environment is so important in the things that environment in our home, waking life, eyes open, is important, but also in any processes like breath work and so on, so that the system feels open up a little more, open up a little more.
Mm. Yeah, I loved it. That was such a great exploration and yeah, I'm loving this conversation, Dan. Honestly, it's so good to have you on here.